My name is Evelyn Whitaker. And the day a judge laughed at me for serving coffee was the same day my father realized he had accidentally built the strongest case against himself. Because the woman they mocked in court as just a waitress was already a military legal officer controlling an $11.4 million estate. And before I tell you how my own father spent months secretly photographing me at work just to convince a judge I was too unqualified to inherit my grandfather's fortune, subscribe to the channel, because stories like this prove one thing. People become dangerously confident the moment they think you look smaller than you really are. The judge smiled before I even spoke. Not a kind smile. The type that says the decision already exists, and the hearing is just procedure. My father sat 2 rows behind his attorney, completely relaxed, arms stretched across the bench like a man attending a victory lap instead of a legal dispute. That confidence should have warned me, because people only look that comfortable when they believe the room already belongs to them. On paper, the case sounded simple. My grandfather, Colonel James Whitaker, had passed away 6 months earlier. Decorated Army veteran. Disciplinet investor. The kind of man who never wasted words or money. His estate totaled just over $11.4 million. Properties. Investment accounts. Municipal bonds. Nothing reckless. Everything calculated. Most of it was left to me, his only granddaughter. My father received a smaller portion. And that imbalance was exactly why we ended up in court. They weren't challenging the will itself. That would have failed immediately. They were challenging me. Your Honor, my father's attorney began smoothly. We are not disputing the validity of the will. He paused dramatically. We are questioning whether the respondent possesses the financial judgment necessary to manage an estate of this size. Then he turned toward the courtroom monitor. And suddenly, my face appeared on the screen. One photo. Then another. Then another. Me serving coffee. Me wiping tables. Me carrying drinks across a crowded café. 3 straight weeks of photographs. Different angles. Different days. Same implication. The attorney folded his hands confidently. These images demonstrate regular employment in a low-wage service position. He glanced toward me briefly. As the court understands, managing an 8-figure estate requires sophistication, strategic planning, and advanced financial judgment. Then came the line meant to destroy me. Attributes not commonly associated with food service work. A few people laughed quietly. Not loudly. Just enough for humiliation to spread through the room. The judge leaned forward slightly. Miss Whitaker, he asked calmly, are you currently employed at this establishment? Yes, Your Honor. The courtroom shifted immediately. And I could feel it happening. People deciding who I was before I even finished speaking. The judge looked almost disappointed. And how long have you worked there? 3 weeks. More silence. Then the judge leaned back and said the sentence everyone remembered afterward. Managing millions is slightly different from serving coffee. More laughter. My father still didn't look at me. He was watching the judge instead. Relaxed. Satisfied. Like everything was unfolding exactly the way he planned. Then the judge asked, do you currently have legal representation? No, Your Honor. That got another reaction from the courtroom. Bigger this time. Because now I looked exactly like the story they wanted. Young woman. Waitress. No attorney. Easy target. The judge nodded slowly. That is your right, he said carefully. Though given the complexity of this matter, I would strongly advise obtaining counsel. I nodded once. Then I reached down and picked up the folder I brought with me. Not thick. Didn't need to be. Your Honor, I said calmly. May I respond to the court's concerns regarding my capacity? The room quieted slightly. Proceed. I stepped forward slowly, and for a second, I remembered my grandfather standing in the doorway of his study years earlier watching me struggle through legal textbooks while everyone else thought I was wasting my time. He used to say, if someone is determined to underestimate you, let them finish doing it completely. So I did. I let them. Then I looked directly at the judge. My current employment is temporary, I said calmly. The attorney immediately shifted, waiting for me to over-explain. I didn't. I understand how it appears, I continued. But appearance alone is not evidence of incapacity. The judge folded his hands, then helped the court understand. Context changes everything. I glanced briefly at the screen. Me carrying coffee, frozen forever inside a version of the story my father carefully constructed. But incomplete stories are dangerous, especially when the missing parts belong to you. My parents left me with my grandfather when I was 8 years old. The courtroom became quieter instantly. They called it an opportunity. I paused briefly. What it really meant was they didn't want the responsibility anymore. No laughter this time. My grandfather believed in discipline, accountability, and earning your place in every room you enter. I could feel the judge listening differently now. Not convinced, but no longer dismissive. He gave me a schedule the first night I moved in. Wake up at 5:30. Bed made by 5:35. Reading by 6:30. A faint smile almost appeared on the judge's face. At the time I thought it was extreme. Then I added quietly. He said structure creates people capable of surviving difficult things. The courtroom stayed silent. When I was 16, I continued, I overheard my parents asking him for early access to his investments. I looked toward my father for the first time. He refused. Then I repeated the sentence my grandfather told them that night. Inheritance is not entitlement. It's responsibility. That line changed the room completely, because suddenly, this wasn't a story about money anymore. It was a story about character. The judge adjusted his glasses. And your professional background, Miss Whitaker? There it was. The moment everything shifted. After high school, I said calmly, I studied law. The attorney stopped moving completely. After graduation, I entered the United States Army. Silence. Real silence. The kind that physically changes the atmosphere. I completed officer candidate school and advanced my legal training through military channels. The judge sat straighter. And your current status? I met his eyes directly. Active duty military legal officer, Your Honor. Nobody moved. Nobody laughed. Even my father finally looked at me. Not confidently anymore. Just staring. The attorney recovered first. Your Honor, he interrupted quickly. While we respect the respondent's service, the issue before the court remains estate management. It's directly relevant, I replied calmly. The judge raised his hand. Let her finish. That was the second time he interrupted the attorney for me. And everyone noticed. My current assignment places me in a temporary transition period, I explained. The employment shown in those photographs is lawful, temporary, and performed during approved off-duty hours. Then I looked back at the monitor. Serving coffee does not eliminate professional capability. The attorney stepped forward again desperately. But the pattern demonstrated. Pattern, I interrupted calmly. That word landed harder than I expected. The court has been shown a carefully selected 3-week window. I opened my folder. Not my credentials. Not my service record. Not my financial compliance reviews. Not my legal certifications. I slowly handed documents to the bailiff. Just photographs designed to create a conclusion before facts were presented. Now the attorney looked uncomfortable. Not me. The judge reviewed the first document slowly, then the second, then the third. And I watched the exact moment his assumptions changed. Not emotionally. Professionally. The difference matters. The attorney tried again. Your Honor, our concern remains her current financial judgment. My grandfather reviewed his estate every year, I said calmly. He evaluated every allocation personally. I let that settle. He knew exactly who he trusted. The judge placed the documents down carefully. And then came the sentence that quietly ended the case before the ruling even arrived. This court is not in the business of rewriting wills based on assumptions. The attorney's face changed instantly, because he realized what everyone else was finally realizing too. Their entire case depended on appearances. And appearances collapsed the second facts enter the room. The second hearing happened 2 weeks later. Smaller audience. Less confidence. No smiling. My father's attorney softened every argument now. No more incapacity. Now it was potential management concerns. Translation? They knew they were losing. The judge reviewed everything carefully before finally speaking. You have not demonstrated undue influence. One sentence. You have not demonstrated incapacity. Second sentence. You have not demonstrated mismanagement. Third sentence. Then came the final blow. The petition to appoint temporary control over the estate is denied. Silence. Clean. Final. The gavel came down softly. It didn't need force. The truth had already done the work. The courtroom emptied slowly afterward. I stayed where I was until almost everyone left. Then I turned. My father was still there. For a moment we just looked at each other across the same distance that existed my entire life. Then he finally said quietly, "You didn't have to do this." And honestly, that sentence almost made me laugh. Because people who create a war always act surprised when you survive it. So I looked directly at him and answered calmly, "I didn't." Then I paused. "You did." No yelling. No revenge speech. Just truth. And somehow, that hurt him more. Outside the courthouse, the air felt colder but clearer. My phone buzzed with a new military assignment notification. New city. New responsibilities. New life already moving forward. My grandfather used to say the same thing every time something difficult ended. Good. Now what's next? So I stepped off the courthouse stairs and into the street. Not faster. Not slower. Just forward. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do after people underestimate you is refuse to stay frozen in the version of yourself they needed you to be.